Guys, this is a new Xpeng G7. I've got a G6. Is the G7 better than the G6? I'm not sure, but here is what the new car looks like. I think it looks good. Very interesting that Xpeng are bringing out these new models. And we were seeing the other day, I did a video on the new Zeekr, their GT, very similar to this in a lot of ways. Here are the details on the new Xpeng G7. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Xpeng are launching the G7 this year. It is definitely a rival to the Model Y. Now, obviously, it's more of a coupe-like shape than the current G6. It'll be priced similarly to a Tesla Model Y. They say in China that it will be maybe the most powerful SUV in its segment this year. So, what is the price? Well, Model Y costs around 55,000 Australian dollars in China, so 250,000 RMB. That is around 37,000 US dollars. The G6 costs a fair bit less than a Model Y. It starts at 44,000 Australian dollars, so $11,000 cheaper. In other words, the G6 is about 7,000 US dollars, a bit more than 7,000 US dollars cheaper than a Tesla Model Y. So you can get an idea on pricing based on that. Now, as you can see, this is not just a coupe-shaped version of the G6. There's certainly some other design changes to it other than the coupe at the back. I mean, the rear of the vehicle looks quite a bit different to my car. In fact, entirely different. So it looks like, in some ways, an entirely different new car than the G6. So this will slot between the G6 and the G9. Here in Australia, they're going to have G6, G7, G9, X9, Mona M03, P7 Plus, and I've heard there's another car coming potentially as well. I mean, onslaught of new electric cars coming from Xpeng. Now, we don't know a whole lot about this new car. Details haven't really come out yet. We just know that it's more aerodynamic because of the shape of the car. As you can see, the rear, I think, looks really, really good. It kind of, to me, looks a little bit like a station wagon. I love the look of this car. I think it looks fantastic. So it looks like it's going to start at around 34,000 US dollars in China, meaning it might be slightly more expensive than a G6. Now, Xpeng are saying one thing. They're saying it's loaded with AI technology. It remains a space monster, making it a top choice for family users. I don't know what the interior space is yet. I'm going to guess the interior size is a little smaller, though, than the G6, considering it is a coupe. Now, speaking of the X9, guys, the X9 is an MPV that Xpeng are bringing out, meant to be this year. And it's just been seen in China in right-hand drive. So they're already manufacturing them, it looks like, in right-hand drive, meaning that new car could be coming soon for Xpeng. Price is going to be under 100,000 Australian dollars. It's going to be just under, I believe, the luxury tax threshold, potentially. It's going to be, I think, really one of those game-changing vehicles which redefines the market. It'll pretty much put a huge dent into Kia Carnival sales because it's a much, much better vehicle. Xpeng are making some real luxury cars, and personally, having owned a G6, driving around, I mean, my G6 is out the front of my house right now charging. I've got to say, charging speed is amazing. That's one of the big advantages of Xpeng vehicles. They advertise 280 kilowatt charging, but it can do faster than that. It can do about 300 kilowatt, and it can hold a very, very high peak. Now, of course, you've got to find the right chargers to enable that, but I have been able to, and I've actually got a screenshot showing the car charging at 290 kilowatt. So yeah, really, really fast charging. One of the big advantages of Xpeng vehicles versus other cars. The big test in Europe, 2 tests in fact, both of them. One of them had the G9, and the G9 was the winner out of 24 different electric cars. It beat Kia and Hyundai. Their so-called 350 kilowatt charging, it beat those. The other test had another 24 different EVs. And that one, the G6 won that charging speed test. So that's one of the big advantages here of Xpeng's 800 volt technology, the ability to charge faster than pretty much all of their rivals. So if doing longer road trips is a thing for you, then like it is for me, then that's a tremendous reason, I think, of why this car is in some ways better than a lot of its rivals. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Bye-bye. Recently, one of you sent me a spy photo of a new Xpeng electric car seen here in Australia being tested. So the question was, which new electric cars are Xpeng bringing here to Australia, and of course to other right-hand drive markets such as potentially the UK, Japan even, maybe that could be happening. I've been hearing rumors about that. New Zealand, of course. Then we've got Thailand. Xpeng's global expansion is moving pretty fast, and there are some models that are confirmed as coming. I actually think they potentially, or specifically one model which is selling insanely well in China, could be a better option than other vehicles such as a Tesla Model Y. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. When I was just in China, I had a look at some Xpeng electric cars just at a dealership, and I was pretty surprised by two new Xpeng EVs. I was surprised because I thought they'd just be like, vehicles that were meant for, or sedans, which were meant for people who, like the BYD Seal, for example. But when you see these vehicles in person, you realize that there is a pretty big disadvantage to something like a Tesla Model 3 or a BYD Seal in comparison to the new Xpeng EVs. And it's really, really obvious. Like, you walk up to it and you think, okay. So first of all, Xpeng have the G6 for sale here in Australia right now. They've sold out of the first two shipments, but I think there's a couple of kind of unusual vehicles in those two orders, so you might be able to get one. I personally have ordered the long range. I'm meant to be picking it up this week, so I'll have some reviews up on the channel very soon. I know I said last week, but anyhow, it's this week. Xpeng are first opening some experience centers. They'll have a major big opening at the airport in Sydney. They have a location in Sydney, and that is being officially open to the public next week. So that's going to be really, really cool. I'll have a video up on the channel about all that, what's happening there. But they also have three experience centres. Those are Wollongong, New South Wales, Port Melbourne, Victoria, and North Coburg in Victoria. In addition to that, they have the flagship site at their Sydney Airport domestic precinct. That's really kind of like an Apple store kind of experience. They have these massive screens in there, but you can test drive Xpeng EVs at those locations. Servicing. Who's going to be servicing Xpeng vehicles? True EV are working with Ultra Tune, so your Xpeng will be serviced by Ultra Tune. In addition to that, Xpeng are planning on opening 20 locations by the end of next year around Australia. They say that those locations will be strategically placed around Australia, so that there'll be some in Tasmania and Adelaide and Perth, and basically allowing everyone to be able to test drive an Xpeng vehicle. So the locations include Brisbane and Adelaide, of course, as well as even the Northern Territory, which is not something I would have expected, but that's happening. So which cars is Xpeng actually bringing?